All right, we're back with One Lap presented by Huntington. And today, we're done with the virtual. We're live in the locker room, and we're with head coach of the Columbus Blue Jackets, Brad Larsen. Lars, it's so good to see you. Congratulations, and we appreciate your time for this One Lap.
Yep, excited. Let's get after it.
So, tell us right away, head coach of the Columbus Blue Jackets, what does that mean to you?
Well, first, it's just excitement. You know, it's an opportunity of a lifetime, and you know, we were chatting before, just the opportunity to build a staff, and you have a vision of how you see a team building and what you want to bring to the table every day as the head guy. So those opportunities don't come along very often. I was fortunate in the American League to do it, but now at this level, it's the highest level. It's excitement.
All right, for this One Lap, we're going to move around the weight room. We usually take it on the ice when we're in person, so here we are strolling through the Blue Jackets weight room. And you talk about building an experience. Okay, I know you kept a journal the past few years. When you look at some of those entries, do you kind of smile and think, wow, I went through that, I wrote this down, I'm glad I have this piece of information?
Yeah, actually, someone offered that advice to me a while back, and part of it was my wife too. She said, you know, just to take notes, and you put dates on it, and certain occurrences, meetings, different things where you think are impacting your team, and to look back on some of that stuff, you kind of smile, you chuckle, and then, because now you know the outcome. You know, before you're going through it, you write it down and go, we'll see what happens. And so those are things that I'm going to continue to do. I think it's important to, you know, you draw on those experiences, and what you thought might happen never did. And again, there's so many different layers and levels of what could happen, but it's an important tool that I've used, and I'll continue to do it.
Any of those experiences led you and helped you to this point, where even just the interviews and being introduced, is there something you look back you can share with us, be like, I'm glad I noticed that, I'm glad I wrote that down, even if it's about yourself?
Well, here's the one thing I'll say, and I've always said this, and I said it in my pressers, there's no substitute for experience. So going through different, I think true growth happens when there's adversity. I believe that. And so, you know, when you're winning, it's kind of easy. You just get out of the way and you let them play and you enjoy the success. But when it gets rough, or when it gets bad, or you hit these bad patches, and I went through plenty of it as an assistant coach, and we went through it as an organization, as a team. It's an opportunity to grow, and how you handle that situation as a coach, or as an organization, or as a player. So there's lots of those moments that have happened over the last 3-4 years of major adversity, whether it was personal or just with our group. And that's the stuff I hope to capitalize on, I guess, would be, and go and learn from those experiences and go, yeah, we went through that. Here's how we kind of stopped the bleeding, or this was a real important moment in our time in that schedule, and this is how I think we can help that. And that's the, you know, when you say there's no substitute for experience, you just go through stuff, good or bad, and that's the stuff, going back to that journal, where I think there'll be some real advantageous situations.
I think that's incredible, because I remember as a player, and you played a long time too, you do things as a player and you be at the back of the bus and you think, why are we doing this? Why are we traveling 30 minutes for a meal? Or why, you know, there's things that just seem to be forgotten. So that experience as a player that you had, those moments, those little details that you've taken care of, is that, looking back at the time as a player, do you really reflect on that too? And is that a big part of getting back to that and understanding these players you're dealing with now?
Yeah, and when I first got into coaching, you know, whatever, it's 12 years ago now, you know, I was very fortunate to have some great people to bounce out, you know, from the Todd McClellans to Ken Hitchcock to, you know, Mike Babcock and others, where I would ask them, you know, what do I need to be doing? And a lot of them right away was like, you've been a player. You know, that's experience. You know, you start your coaching career late, only because I was fortunate to play 13 years. But those are experiences that, you know, you go through, gosh, up and down. You went through it, you know what it's like, good years, bad years, and everything in between, winning organizations, teams or organizations that are in different spots. So right away you have this built-in kind of cachet of knowledge that you reflect on no matter what. So that's probably half the battle, and then trying to shape yourself as a coach, what that's going to look like and how you want to present yourself. So yeah, as a player, absolutely. I think, you know, Kevin Dineen, who my last year pro, when he first started, he said, you know, I didn't share any experiences, he didn't want to reflect, and now he's changed. He's like, you know what, now, he goes, I share everything I can, and you should, because I think, you know, and if it's done right, and it's done, you know, through humility, it's not through, in my career was nothing glorious or glamorous by any means, so, but I played with some really good players. When you look at the Colorado Avalanche and back then, and when they were winning the Cup with the Ray Borks and Joe Sakic, Peter Forsberg, and Patrick Waugh, and the list goes on and on. Man, I saw some incredible things about what it took to win, the selflessness involved in that, and just the day-to-day focus and competitiveness, and this all-in attitude from legitimately 6 or 7 Hall of Fame guys on one team. And then my third Game 7, my first year of playoffs, we played Detroit Red Wings in the conference finals. And I think between the two teams, there was 12 to 14 Hall of Fame guys. I don't see that happening again just because of the flat cap and stuff, but think about that, like that opportunity to go through something, with Yzerman and Lidstrom and Datsuk and Zetterberg and Dominic Hasek, and on our side, all the guys I mentioned prior. Incredible series, competitiveness, and so again, you'd be foolish not to draw on those experiences and share those with guys just to help to try and grow them and make them better players.
You say you didn't have a glorious career. You're a humble guy. You had a great career. I know you're extremely proud.
I'm a realist.
Yeah, we all are, right?
Yeah.
Now, we're in a weight room, and I think this is very fitting because you're a guy who worked extremely hard. You have a reputation as a player and as a coach of how hard you work. Can you tell us and share with us how much and where you learned to work so hard in the weight room that let you play 13 years and now coach 12 years?
Well, you go back to mom and dad right away. My dad was a blue-collar guy, and he worked in the mines and did stuff with explosives. Was a backhoe operator. Whenever there was that day, especially when I got to major junior, and when there was any complaining about going for a run in 95-degree weather, he would always say, "Well, you can come work with me for a full day if you want." And I knew right there, I'd see how he'd come home, but my dad was one of the hardest working men I've ever seen. And to back that up, people would tell me that all the time, where he was a guy that we'd want to work with. And my mother was much the same, just blue collar, was a receptionist, but always took care of me and my brother when my dad was away, and how hard she worked for our family and herself and around the property. We had a small 5 acres to a farm, so there's lots to do, as you know, when you go through something like that. So they really instilled that in me. And as you progressed and got kind of that first and second year pro level, and you started looking at the caliber of player, you really realize that skill is not going to do it. If you had any aspirations of making the NHL and being a consistent player there every day, you were going to have to get out of your comfort zone and do something different. And I always felt like my best asset was my work ethic. So I had to change as a player. And then I always felt if I was taking a day off, I was falling behind. And it was just, I was scared to not put the work in. And so I think it helped me. I think there was a lot of good players that probably could have played ahead of me, but maybe they didn't put the work in. So I was fortunate enough to have a career because of it.
You weren't going to let it go.
I didn't want it to. No, it's right there, right? And to play with those players, and at the end of the day, I always say this, if you're sitting down and you have regrets, and it's something that you could have controlled, that's a hard thing to live with. And by the end of my career, when I retired, I was done. I knew I had nothing left in the tank, and literally my body was fatigued mentally, physically, and I was so excited to coach. So it was easy. I've never regretted it one day in my life.
I know there's always, every season, I think the players, we dreaded it as players. Maybe you didn't dread it, I don't know, but I know most players did. The fitness testing. What was your strength? Was it pull-ups, running, squats? And the second part of that, why would you still want to work out now? You're still an elite athlete. I know you love it. Is it part of your therapy?
Yeah, well, my strength was just overall conditioning, because I knew I wasn't as good as most players. So I would put the work in. I knew it was my time to shine, and I had Bob Hartley 3 times, and I knew his camps down to the minute and how hard they were. So when guys were getting fatigued, I was able to sustain. And so it was an opportunity for me to impress. And it's something that I could control, right? And that was really important to me. And it goes back to that work ethic that I inherited from my parents. So I enjoy the sweat. It's a great escape, just coming in and getting the workout. Kind of clears your mind. You think about the day, what's ahead. I'm an early morning guy. I like to get up, before the sun comes up most days, and it's not because it's to impress anybody. Just I really enjoy the mornings. I think you can get real productive in the mornings, and people are sleeping and it's quiet. Nobody's around. You get so much work done. So that's just me and how I like to operate. So the workout helps. It kind of gets the endorphins kicking, and you feel so much better when you get a good sweat in.
We appreciate you taking the time here for this one lap presented by Huntington. Congratulations
Thank
on
you.
this. Head coach of the Columbus Blue Jackets, Brad Larsen. We're excited for you and good luck with everything.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.